Self-aware millennial. Welcome to another episode of the Self-Aware Millennial, everybody. I am your host, J.Mix. If you are having a good time listening to these discussions, give me a nice rating on Apple Podcasts, first and foremost. The holiday season is on the way, and I would love to have a nice little present, like a little review here or a rating there. That's all I really want for Christmas. That's all I want. So I don't really have much announcements today. But actually, I do have one announcement, but it's an announcement that everybody knows. We have a president. Joe Biden is now going to be our president, and Kamala Harris is going to be our vice president come January. Thank goodness. And
Skiwi.
Yes. And actually, what sorority was she a part of?
Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority.
Oh, she's
Incorporated.
Oh Lord, I knew she was part of one of them. I just couldn't remember which one. So that's awesome.
Yes.
And it's wonderful because now we have some representation at the highest of offices in the United States, which is good, not just for the country, but it's just good for the overall, I would say, reputation and what's another good word? Just representation. Representation of Black women. And like I've been saying this whole time, Black women need to be in more leadership positions. I hate when folks are always like, especially these predominantly white institutions such as the National World War II Museum, telling me things like change takes time and everything. I'm like, no, change takes Black women being in leadership positions. So
but here's the thing, like Black women are already in those positions. They just don't have the title and pay. Like they're already doing all the work.
Mm-hmm.
They just even if you want to take it back to like when people were brought here, they were raising the kids. But you think they had like pay and title? No, but they were like making the next generation. But okay, yeah, we're not going to pay you though. So yeah, they're already leading. Just give them the title and the pay. Thanks.
Thank you. I love it. And okay, y'all. So the voice you are hearing is a wonderful friend, Keah Moffett. Keah, how long have I known you now? It's been a minute, but we know each other through association by doing like the theater, dance, all around. Theater. I know everybody do theater, y'all. We should know this by now. But I believe, Keah, you've done a lot around the city, and you said in Virginia for school, right?
Yeah, I went to Hampton University.
Mm-hmm.
The better HU. All the Howard people are about to get mad now. It's love. It's all HBCU love. But I went to Hampton University. And then I came home, and then I went to Academy of Art University for my master's. Came home again. Now I'm at Tulane getting a post-bac, and I'm applying for a PhD. So at USC in media arts and practice, which basically means making art, but not traditionally. So I would basically not have to write a paper, but like if I wanted to do something cool, like do a play, but have holograms in it, I could figure out that could be my thesis. And
that's so cool.
I said that because that's one of the things I'm kind of thinking about. So yeah, but it's funny about our relationship because I didn't meet you until a Gentilly Fest.
And I remember that because I remember seeing you in person and I remember seeing your curls. I was like, dang, I love your hair.
I knew you from life, just social. And I worked in Forum with your sister.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, those sisters can sing. They just sing. And I was like, okay. And everybody, and that's when I first kind of came back from San Francisco, and everybody was telling me all the things I could do in theater because I'm a film person.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh yeah, you should try to be. They actually told me I should try out for what are y'all called? The
Victory Bells.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, but I'm Black. And they were like, and I never heard of victory bells, but when they said, oh, they sing at the World War II Museum, I was like, that don't sound like Black people. And they're like,
Yeah.
no, there are Black victory bells. And I was like, oh. And then like when I looked it up, I was like, I don't know if I can sing like them. Like you're like Angelica, and then there's like Eliza, and I'm like Peggy. So I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I like can get there. But yeah, that's when, so like I knew you from stuff, but I didn't know you. And so when I saw a Gentility, I was like, she's probably gonna be like, who is this? Who is this? And you were like, hi.
Yeah, no, I know I never forget a face, but also, I mean, the Black community, especially in the theater, is so small. You know everybody. But shoot, New Orleans is small in general.
Yeah,
So
everybody went to high school with somebody, you know.
exactly. Exactly.
It's
But
crazy.
yeah, that's kind of the first time we met each other, and we just kind of been keeping up with each other ever since, kind of going along the same path. I think you do more dancing than I do, but I love it. I love to see it. I love to see
I
it.
love dancing. I'm just getting back because, you know, I was like cut off because of surgery.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm gonna get out here and do these kicks for Kamala. So
Huh. Ooh, and we're gonna get into your surgery in a second, but first I want to do a quick little ponytail segment that I normally do. So basically, ponytails is an icebreaker that I do with my friends, and I ask them to tell a tale with a ponytail in their head. I would give the name of the topic, and then we both share our ponytail. And I kind of want to just kind of give a throwback on this ponytail and talk about where you were when Obama was elected president in 2008, and describe how you felt.
whew. Okay. Praise Black Jesus. Man, I was just telling someone about this. So I was at Hampton,
Okay.
and Virginia is like, as a Southerner, I don't think Virginia is the South, but technically Virginia is the
Agreed.
South.
I feel the same way when I think of Virginia.
Yeah.
They're like,
I'm like, oh,
I
you're
feel the
North.
exact same way. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're technically the South. Like
Mm-hmm.
slavery kind of originate there. So they got that.
Exactly.
But
Yes.
still, they're not the South. So anyway, Virginia was usually red. And Obama was running, and I saw him in Virginia Beach. I was like, something about this guy. And my mom was like, no, Hillary. I was like, nah, something about this guy. So after seeing him, and then he like became like the nominee, Hampton, of course, was like, we gotta register, we gotta do everything. Because usually I'm like, I'm gonna stay here and register. But that year I think I did Virginia just so I could be counted. And that was like the first year in a long time Virginia went blue. And I was a broadcast journalism major, and we were doing live election stuff. Like like the School of Journalism on the Hampton channel was like, let's do live election stuff. So I was helping with the quick edits. And I remember when like it looked like he was about to win, our teachers didn't even get mad. We just left. Like we didn't even like stick around. I don't know how the rest of the show went, because we all were like, wait, he won Virginia. Wait. And so like we just ran outside, and there's these apartments right near campus called the Harbors. And they're not considered on campus, but they're on the campus.
Yeah.
Everybody went to the Harbors, and the streets, it was like Mardi Gras. And if you know Virginia, they don't have nothing like Mardi Gras. Everybody was in the streets, and they like said like he was the projected winner, and everybody's outside hugging each other, people you never met at school. Everybody's like, Obama. People are like so happy, calling they people, and everybody's just hyped. Like nobody's paying attention to the TV. Everybody's just hyped. And then a fire truck came in, and like was trying, I guess we like saw it, maybe like trying to break up the crowd, and they put on their siren, and everybody's like, oh man, you know, like, okay. And then
Party pooper.
Yeah. And then the guy like pops out his window, and he says, Obama. And then everybody goes, ah! And then it just kept going. It was like the hypest thing ever. And
Oh man.
like after it kind of died down, people went in. I didn't even live in the Harbors, but I had so many friends there. I went into a friend's house and I called my mama, called my grandma. Everybody was just like, because to them, like we knew it was a first, but to them it was different. And
Yes.
then like a month later, we got the word that Hampton's band was invited to perform at the inaugural parade. And guess who's in Hampton's band? It was me. So I was like, oh snap. And we got our own Secret Service guy.
Okay.
I knew his name back in the day. He was like, you part of the family now. We could only play 3 songs that were approved by the Secret Service. We had to get like everything checked at the Pentagon so that they could make sure everything was safe.
Yeah.
It was super duper cold. We were dancers, so we didn't have on many clothing. People were freezing. They had heat tents, but a Kennedy was sick, like was having a heart attack that same day. And so they halted the parade. So we're out there like not in the heating tent in position and we're freezing. So the band basically was like, forget them 3 songs. And they started playing Talking. And we started dancing. People were like getting hyped to try to keep warm. And it was not approved. And like Secret Service was like, yeah, cool. Like nobody, they were like, everybody was jamming because it was just like, it's cold. We out here. Like all the rules kind of went out. We started dancing. But then like the parade started and we went a while and we're like, okay, we're in a parade. We don't see nothing. And then we started playing Sign Seal Delivered. And it got real bright. And then we like did this little walk where we waved to the left and then waved to the right and we waved to the left. And like right there was Obama and Michelle.
Oh,
like, and I was on the first row on this side. And so I'm like keeping my smile and they're like, waiting back and they're jamming. Cause that was like his song at the time. Like,
yeah, that was his song. You're right.
And we kept it together. As soon as like we passed that light,
like girl, I would have lost it.
I've never fangirled about somebody. Like everyone was like, oh my God, did you? And all the guys like, Michelle winked at me. You saw that? Like everybody was just hyped. We all were super sick when we got back, but it was worth it. Cause like I will never ever, there's video on YouTube of it because the news like got us really well.
Could you send me that? And I want to put it on the podcast page.
I got you. It's one of them things like, and so like for this election, people who marched in that, I saw one person's status was, I got one more inaugural parade in these knees. And everybody was like, hey, it's like, but I don't even know if they're gonna do
right.
That's everybody, all my sorors are buying tickets, and I'm like, are they even gonna have something public, or is it gonna be kind of, because they've been very serious about social distancing and stuff. It ain't been like,
as you should be. So, you should be serious about it.
So I might go to DC just to be in the atmosphere, but I don't think there's going to be like awesome. I'm going. My friend who lives in DC is like, oh, you're staying with me.
I've got some friends that live in the DC area. I need to talk and see about be about it.
Yeah, like even if it's not super public, just to be
in the situation, in the area. Yeah.
Feel the spirit of it.
Yeah. Ooh, well, that's a beautiful ponytails. Yeah, that's good. That's such a monumental moment. I know for me, and I'll just be quick about my ponytail. All I can remember is that I was in my room. All my family, like we all had televisions in our own personal bedroom. So like everyone was kind of watching it from their personal whatevers. But like as the results started rolling in, I remember everybody kind of almost gathering in my room to watch it. Like almost like the end, like I think when he was like about to give his first speech or whatever. Because I remember it was like late at night. It was like 8 or 9 o'clock, maybe 10 o'clock. 11. I don't know. I don't remember what time it was. All I remember was like everyone kind of gathered in my room. We were just kind of like watching we were just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. And like, I remember my dad coming in and like everybody just kind of looking at the screen like, I be doggone, like I cannot believe this is happening. Like everyone just kind of in shock. It felt like a family member had like, it just felt like we had hit the jackpot. It really felt like
Like you knew
family.
him.
Yeah, like we knew him. And then like seeing Michelle and the girls, and I was just like, I cannot believe this. This is too much. Like I was emotional. And then like, you know, they had a bunch of different remixes coming out about,
Oh yeah,
you know,
they were playing that in the harbors. They're like, my president is black. My lamp. Like,
yeah, there was so much. So like everyone was hyped up about it. I just remember feeling overall just this overwhelming sense of happiness. I wouldn't say it was relief because I remember when he was doing his speech, like that first speech, I was afraid. I was like, I don't want anything to happen to him. I was like,
mm-hmm.
I don't want anyone to shoot him. I don't want him to be MLK. Like, I don't want this to happen. Like, don't do this. Like, so like I was happy, but I was worried. I was like, nobody shoot. Don't like, just don't hurt him. And you know, it was like this. It's funny to feel both of those things at the same time. You're feeling fear, but you're also really excited and happy at the same time.
I forgot, but yeah, I think we all kind of felt that. Like everybody's like, okay, don't be like at the parade. It's like, stay behind that glass now. Like, and that's sad that you have to feel that way or think like that. And I didn't feel relief either because honestly, what was it, Bush before him?
Yeah.
Bush wasn't like how it is right now. Like,
yeah,
it was like when Bush won, you were like, and then like kept going with your life.
exactly.
But yeah, like 4 years ago, it felt like something had happened. I was like,
Yeah.
is this what we're doing right now? Like, yeah, it
but
was different. But Obama though. Yeah, Obama was.
And he's, yeah, and right, even now, like, I don't know, like, he's still pretty much like everyone's almost number one. But I mean, in regards to like my revolutionary side, I know that, however, unfortunately, when it comes to the system that is the political parties of both sides, they are still almost catering to the same bird, if that makes sense. Like two different wings, same bird.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still a lot that needs to be switched in regards to the way that we run our country, because right now it's still catering towards capitalism no matter which side you vote for.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, cool, we got Biden and Kamala in the building, but you know, there's still a lot that we have to now hold them accountable for. Like, we can't just be like, oh, y'all are in, we're good. No, we need to be like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I want student loan debt gone. I was
just about
this,
to say that.
like, I want all these other things. Like, we as a people need to be on their asses to get these rights, to get these things for us, so that we can have a better life for our futures and the futures of the people that are coming behind us. So on that regard, yeah, Obama thankfully is still around and still kicking it, and you know, skin is still good and everything.
Still so smooth.
It's very smooth. And as y'all can tell, we are Obama fans. And I actually I didn't, so funny story. I'm gonna just say this right quick. Malia Obama, about a year or two ago, was randomly at a restaurant party that I was at. So I used to work for Compare La Pen, which is a restaurant here in New Orleans. It's Black owned by Nina. Oh Lord, what's Nina's last name? Why can't I remember Nina's last name? Either way, she's from St. Lucia.
You're supposed to right now. That's why you can't remember it.
Right. It'll come back to me. Anyway, so she has a restaurant down kind of in the CBD. She was having, like, I think their 2-year anniversary for the restaurant, and they hired DJ Soul Sister to come in and DJ. They took all the tables out and everything. It was like nice little rave party. Lights were low. they had drinks and some food or whatever. And I don't know who, somebody knew somebody brought Malia Obama in. Didn't even realize it was her, but she was just there dancing and stuff. It wasn't even like that crowded or whatever, but it was just really cool to like just kind of see her. She had a cute little outfit on, and I think my sister said that she had saw her and talked to her for a little bit. But I was just thinking to myself, dang, like these people are real. I just usually see them on television. But she was cool, but anyway. That was a random story. Anyway, that's the last ponytails. Let's get into talking about, Keah, your experience with endometriosis. Because I remember when I was actually doing the period episodes, the period series, I had reached out to you about doing an episode possibly about endo, but you were going into surgery like pretty soon, so it didn't happen. But we did have someone else that came on, I think it was Brooke, who talked about endometriosis and her experience with it. So now that you have gone through the surgery, can you tell the audience about your experience with that? And just so everyone, let's just give a recap, especially for my penis owners. Endometriosis is a condition where, oh God, help me out, Keah, because I'm getting it mixed up with PCOS.
I got you, fam. So similar though.
Yeah.
So the best way I explain it is like when you have your period, the lining of your uterus like goes bye-bye, sheds. That's what all that blood is. So
Yes.
people with endo, the lining sheds and then it doesn't leave your body. It like goes somewhere else. So then because those cells are specific cells, when you have your period and they do their thing, like, oh, cramps, those other cells that are other places are also getting the signal and they're going, oh, cramps. So you're not just getting like the monthly, you're getting like the other months that stayed in there. So the pain is usually worse and stuff like that. And it travels. So most people, it's still in the stomach area, like lower stomach. Yeah. But I didn't know until a doctor told me that like there has been cases where it traveled to the brain, and they did not know it was that until the people would have seizures on their period. And they were like, why are they having seizures? And the weird thing is the only way to diagnose it is to have surgery. So once they went in, they saw endometrial tissue and removed it. And then the people didn't have it anymore. And no one really knows how it travels because there's not a lot of research. But I sort of think it's hereditary because it took me years. I thought I had it for 6 years, but I think I might have had it since like high school, or even now they're starting to see studies of you can have it before your period starts. It's just that your period kind of like you have the whatever's inside of you and then your period makes it happen. I thought I had it because when I was in grad school, I went to grad school for film, and we had a class where it's just 6 hours of shooting. Like you got 6 hours, but like 45 minutes of it was, you can eat. And they had all like professionals, but you just had to come with the actors, the script or whatever. So, because I was a directing major. So I was doing the first week and my story was about like this ballet, like this school of dance, and someone comes in and they do ballet, and then this girl comes in and she's like bucking J-set, and then they're like having this discussion, these judges of like what is real dancing. So my dancer was actually a J-set who was there, and she texted me like that morning and was like, I can't make it. And I'm like, so I was like, I'm going to have to dance in my own film. I'm going to have to direct it and dance. So I hurry up and got some clothes. And so I did the dancing for the film. And then afterwards, my belly button was hurting. And I thought
your belly button, just your belly button.
Just like nothing around it, just a belly button. What? I thought maybe I pulled something. Yeah. And and I was like, well, it'll go away. And like, because as a dancer, you be pulling stuff, but you'd be like, oh, like a couple days, cool. And
Yeah.
it didn't go away. So my mom is a firm believer of go to the emergency room for everything. She's a very firm believer. And she was like, go to the doctor. I had like a primary care person because I had bad cramps before all of this. Like I said, high school, I would miss days. Like they knew at school that at least once a month I was gonna be out, and I had to even make up the days at the end. Like it was just known. So I went to the primary care and they were closed because it was like some holiday that's not a holiday, like Columbus Day or something. So I was like, they're closed. Mom was like, we'll go to the emergency room, and there was a hospital near my dorm. I went and they did a CT scan because they were like, we don't know like why your belly button is hurting, but we have ideas. After they did the CT, I had so much swelling in my stomach that they thought my appendix was about to burst. And I was not, like, at this point, I was not on my period. This was just a day. Yeah. So I was like, oh snap, I'm gonna have to have like surgery, like for real. And I've never had like for real surgery. I'm like, oh snap, I'm gonna have a scar. So I let my mom know. And I had a family friend who, like, she it's like almost like an aunt to me. So once I told her, she was like, oh, I'm coming, you know, like, but they sent me home with antibiotics. And I was like, if my appendix is about to burst, why are they sending me home with antibiotics?
Right.
So apparently, and I don't know if this is true or not, but if they don't think it's about to burst like right then, but they feel like it's something wrong, they'll give you antibiotics and see if it goes away. But if it doesn't, then they'll do the surgery. I guess they were trying to prevent just doing surgery. Yeah. I don't know. Also, there's a lot of things with Black women in the medical world, but I digress.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah. So it could have been really bad. But even like, I think I missed class, and all my teachers are like white men because film. And I text my teacher and let him know I wasn't coming in. They think it's my appendix. And he's Jewish. And he's like, what? They just gave you antibiotics. And he was like calling the hospital because he was like, how are they going to treat you this way? Like they had my back. I can't lie. I had to cancel going to homecoming that year because they were like, you're going to need the surgical consult. And it was the day like before homecoming. And I'm like, man. And if y'all know about HBCU homecomings.
Yeah, that's like.
That was a lot. That was.
Right.
But I was like, my health is important.
Yeah.
So I
there'll be plenty of more homecomings, I guess.
Yeah. But what if I just drop, you know?
Right.
So I went to the surgical consult, and this is literally like I waited for like an hour and a half, and the guy comes in, he has a chart, and he's like, I don't think it's your appendix, so I don't recommend surgery. And he starts to walk out. Now I'm about to miss homecoming for him to say those words. And I'm like, wait. So what do you think it is? Because I did a lot to be here and I'm still hurting. And he says, and I quote, oh, I'm a surgeon. All I do is cut people. And it reminded me of Scrubs, which is like my favorite show. Because they say like, oh, surgeons only want to cut. And I was like, oh, you're exaggerating, Scrubs. They're not. So he basically was like, I do the surgeries. I don't do the other stuff. So
wow.
That was it. That was like the end of that part of the journey. So I just kept going with pain. And one of my other teachers, a white man, suggested acupuncture. And San Francisco is so big and has such a big population that they had an acupuncture school. So because I was a student and because it was a school, I could get acupuncture for like $15 every session. And it was like it was real awesome. Needles. And it did help.
I love them needles. Them needles.
It was really, I was afraid at first. And like the first day she had my hand and she was like, you didn't eat before you came here, huh? I was like, what?
How do you know that? Like, sorcery.
She was like, do it. And she said, are you kind of stressed out? Is something going on in school? And I'm like, yeah, I have to give this big presentation. She's like, you're going to do fine. Don't stress about it. Like she could tell all this stuff from like my pulse or something. It was weird and it was cool. And it made me want to kind of study it.
Ooh.
It was awesome. Like, I wish, like, if I moved back to San Francisco, it would be partially because of that school. And
Okay.
I got all the needles in me, and then they were like, okay, relax for 30 minutes. And I was sitting there like, how am I relaxing all these needles for 30 minutes? And then like the next thing I know, they were like, okay, you're done. And I had fallen asleep. Like, it's so relaxing. I love that little place. I wish I could get acupuncture
Wow.
now, but it's expensive.
It
Uh,
is.
s- so I was doing the acupuncture for a while and just like on my naproxen and ibuprofen. And I came back home because I was an RA, so I had free housing. But
Mm-hmm.
after a while, San Francisco expensive and you ain't got free housing no more. So I came home. And
Right.
after like a while of that and trying to deal with that pain, I was also Googling. So in my mind, I was like, well, let me Google things I might have. I started getting bumps in my belly button, like growing out. Like my belly button was like,
Like zits?
regular. Yeah, like bumps
Like
started
pimples?
appearing. Yeah, like pimples inside my belly button. And I was
Ooh.
like, that's weird. Now, at the same time, it's always hurting. So
Yeah.
then when my period would come, the bumps would bleed. So if I was wearing a shirt and I
Whoa.
flipped over the shirt, where my belly button is, I would have blood. So I'm like,
Whoa. That's
that's not
weird.
normal.
That's not normal
Right.
at all.
I went to doctors. They were like, this whole time, I basically had kind of given up because I was like, they're going to just tell me nothing's wrong.
Yeah.
Because they would do like a ultrasound and be like, oh, we don't see anything. But if you know anything about endometriosis, you can't tell from an ultrasound. So
Yeah.
I just was like, whatever. But, everything happens for a reason. My mom's doctor, primary care, she was talking to him and realized, as she was talking to me, I realized he went to high school with me. And we were like, cool.
Oh. Wow.
And I was like, I need to go to him. And he was like, I was telling him a little bit about what I was going through. And he's like, wait, so they just sent you with antibiotics? Like, he was the same way you are. Like, he's like, none of this is right. Come see me. And because he's primary care, there's only so much he can do. So he took me through
Yeah.
a bunch of tests
Mm-hmm.
and like bone density, like all these tests.
Yeah.
All of them came up cool. And he's like, okay, you need to see a OBGYN. He said, and I'm going to send you to a dermatologist just to see if they can do something. They maybe can biopsy the bumps, see what's happening.
Yeah.
And I suggested to go to UMC, University Medical,
Yeah.
because I found in my experience at San Francisco that when there's students involved, they try harder to find out what's wrong with you because they have
Mm.
something to prove.
Yeah.
And there's more brains like in the trust to be like, maybe it's this, maybe it's that.
Yeah.
So he got me like the referral, but my appointment wasn't going to be for like a month. So he was like, in the meantime, I can get you somewhere like in a week. And if that doesn't work out, keep your appointment. If it does, you can cancel. I went to a dermatologist a week later and he was like, now notice a reoccurring motif I hope y'all hear of me calling the doctors he. Okay, so he is like, I don't want to biopsy it because you could get an infection. And I'm like, but I could get an infection from like a paper cut. Like, you can
Right.
get an infection from anything.
Yeah.
So that's whack, by the way. So he says, I don't want to do anything because you could get an infection. And he says, but if you think you have endometriosis, because like I said, I've been Googling, and endometriosis was the only thing that kind of made sense at this point. So I thought going to a doctor and saying, I think I have endometriosis would give them a path to go to. And so far it wasn't. So he said, but if you think you have endometriosis, why don't you just have a child? He said it as if like I could tell
Are you
you
lying? Are you serious?
if
Are
listeners,
you
I'm pointing to my
serious?
face.
He said if you have endometriosis, go have a child.
Yeah, he said if you think you have endometriosis, just go have a baby. And that's a common misconception
This was a
because
doctor?
yeah. And like I think it helps with like symptoms while you're pregnant, but it doesn't get rid of anything. But that's a common misconception. And then sometimes it doesn't, and then you have a whole child. And my thing was like, at the time
Uh-uh.
I was single. I'm single. I'm like, you said this, like I said, hey, go to the store and get the Star Crunch. Like,
Right.
it ain't that easy
You're making
to do.
assumptions.
Right? A
Assumptions
lot, a whole lot.
galore.
And like, I'm not job ready or life ready or mentally ready for a child, like straight up. But he says, yeah, if you think you have endometriosis, just go have a baby. And then he looks at my chart and he says, oh, and you're 30, you better hurry up.
Did you
And
report this
so,
doctor, Keah?
no, I was so like, you know how something
You
happens, like somebody call you the N word and you just be
and you,
like,
yeah,
they
you.
just
It
call me the
doesn't
N word.
register.
That's
It doesn't register until after the fact. I know. I've been there.
yeah.
Been there.
So I'm in a group me with Hampton, like people I knew from Hampton's band. It's like a few of us got a Hillman group. And I wrote to them and I was like, y'all, this doctor just told me if I think I have endo, because I've been keeping them updated, to just have a baby. And then he says, oh, and you're 30, you better hurry up. And they were like, you're joking. And I'm like, I'm not joking. Like he literally just told me like, and you're old. And I'm like, dang, I'm just starting. Like I thought, but
Right.
okay, I guess I'm old. So after that, I kept my appointment with UMC. So I get to my dermatology. My OBGYN appointment wasn't till later. My dermatology a month later, it was a woman and a woman student. She says, I tell her everything that happened to me at the other one. And she's like she can't even really believe it. And she said, so I'm gonna biopsy it because you can get an infection like with anything, but just keep it clean, like and covered until it heals. So she does the biopsy and it takes like 2 weeks or so. And it was so long that they said, if it takes longer than this, call. And when I called, they were like, the lab is still processing it. And I was like, that don't sound good. It came back as endometrial tissue. So
Hmm.
finally,
You
the
had a name.
dermatologist had diagnosed me as endometriosis. I wasn't just me Googling. And she was like, this is where I kind of have to leave you because I am a dermatologist, but you have this OBGYN there. It's their department. So after years and years and years, it took the woman
A
dermatologist
woman
to
dermatologist to
do the
diagnose you.
biopsy. And even though it was like crazy, it was like a blessing because if I didn't have those bumps, I still might not know because the only way to tell is to go in with surgery and to find the tissue and then test it. But because mine was literally bursting out of me, because I would feel like when my period would come, I would feel like I was going to explode from the inside out. Like it felt like my
Yeah.
insides were doing this to
Oh.
my body. And I would just feel like I couldn't sit up. I couldn't really walk.
Oh my
It just felt
God.
like my whole body was swollen. And I stopped eating gluten because I Googled and they were like, if you think you have this, stop eating gluten, sugar, meat, and dairy. And I was like, those things are delicious. I'll start with
Right.
gluten. So when I stopped with gluten, I felt at least 75% better. So I haven't went back like because I'm scared, even though I had the surgery.
Yeah.
So I got diagnosed, started seeing a doctor. I was on um the Louisiana, what is it, Medicaid?
Medicaid.
Medicaid?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was on Medicaid because although I do work, I am also like an artist. And
Yeah.
so those are usually giggy and
Same.
it's not like
They
a
don't,
steady thing.
they don't,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And I have part-time at a school where I'm teaching. So in California, if you're a student, period, they're like, here, Medicaid.
Yeah.
We don't care. Medicaid. No matter what you could be a student, but also have a full-time job. They're like, you want Medicaid? Here, it's like, it's a fine line. So because I'm
Mhm.
working part-time, when I got my part-time job, they told me I couldn't have Medicaid anymore. So when I went to the doctor and she was ready to do the surgery, my Medicaid ended on like March 31st and the
Mhm.
surgery would have been like April 4th and she couldn't do it. And
Mm.
Louisiana is basically like you make too much for Medicaid, but you don't make enough to afford insurance. So you're in this in
Exactly.
between.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh, I know all about that.
yeah. So I'm in the in between and I know I have endo. And so I'm doing all these home remedies, but I can't afford a doctor. I can't afford acupuncture. I started finding cool new ways to deal with it, like a TENS machine. For those of you suffering with cramps, TENS machine is the way. That was
What's a
the only
TENS
way I could.
machine?
It's this. It's like these little pads, and they send electrical pulses into your body.
Oh.
And so I put 2 in the front and 2 on my back, and it sends the pulses, and it like cancels out your cramps or something. It's crazy. If anybody else is suffering, get you a TENS machine from
Okay.
Amazon. It is awesome. So I'm finding all these ways to do it. And then my friend who's dances with me with Baby Doll Ladies, she's a nurse at UMC, or was.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, she would see me suffering because I would come to practice and I'm like, y'all don't, like if I'm not doing it full out, it's because of this. Like everybody in my life knows about it because you can't hide it. Like when
Right.
it's happening, it's happening. You can't fake it till you make it. It is what it is. And
It's the star.
yeah. And she's like, we have this thing called free care. If you just bring in your stuff, I'll like tell you who to bring it into. You bring in like your taxes and like check stub or something, and then they can approve you, and maybe you can get your whole thing covered or like half. They like determine it, but it's you have to keep going there basically to get it covered. And I'm like, I'll try anything because I'm sick of this. Because
Right.
you learn, like, you're like, okay, I'll try. And then you have that one bad day and you're like, nah. Like, and so
Yeah.
during COVID, when COVID like first started, I don't know if y'all remember when they were like, they didn't know what worked and what didn't. So they were like, don't take ibuprofen because the virus feeds off it. And that's what I take, naproxen, ibuprofen. So I didn't for that period. And when I say I was in the bathroom on the floor, throwing up, couldn't move, crying. And there was nothing. I was like, I'm just going to take the ibuprofen because I tried to take Tylenol and it
it's not the
didn't
same.
do anything for me. And I like my sister, my mom, everybody just felt bad because nothing anybody can do for you. Like you just out there. Like, so I took the ibuprofen. I was like, forget it. I'm gonna just take it. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like it hinders on like it's stuff gigs I can't do, days of work I can't work, fun things I can't do because of this. Days where
And this
I feel
happened
okay
every month, right?
every month. And then with endo, sometimes it's not your period. Like you can just have a pain while you walking down the street and it's not, like, cause it's just there.
So it happens throughout the month.
Yeah. And you'll have days, and it's also like there's other symptoms other than pain. Like I would feel very fatigued because I'm bleeding so much. I didn't have a lot of energy. I kept taking B12 and it would help a little bit, like your hormones are wacky because you're getting so much estrogen or whatever. It's just, it's a lot.
So just so I'm getting it correct, you're saying that when you have endo, it's all coming back up. It's not leaving your body, or is some of it still leaving? It's just not all of it. And it's causing your body
Some of it leaves, like you still have your period, and sometimes it's super heavy and all that, and sometimes it lasts a long time. But with every period, it's like adding to the collective,
to
So
the
even
bit
though
that's
they
not leaving.
biopsy, right? So even though they biopsied those bumps, they came back like 2 months later because that wherever that leak was in my body was still happening. So yeah, so I was like, I can't, like, I'm gonna try to have this surgery. Cause I heard horror stories of like, they went to go have the surgery and they woke up and it was a hysterectomy and they're like, what? Like I've heard all kinds of craziness, but I was like, whatever. It's like when you get to the point where
you're like, okay, just do what you got to do. Like,
yeah.
I know that feeling.
So although I'm not a religious person, I am a person that believes that like there is like a higher power in the works of things, like doing,
Absolutely.
like
Yeah.
being like, I'm gonna let the. So I was just like, look, because I talked to God like I talked to everybody. Look, so I'm about to go in and see if I can have the surgery, and I was like, if there's anything, like I'm gonna take any kind of thing that's like saying like some sort of like if anything
Sign.
goes wrong, yeah, I'm gonna take that as a sign that I shouldn't have the surgery. So if everything is perfect, I'll know that it's you saying that you need to have the surgery. 'Cause it was like to the point where if I went in for the appointment and they was like, oh, the doctor's sick today, I'd be like, oh, that means I ain't supposed, like I
Yeah.
was on that point. So I actually went through their portal, UMC, and they have like an online portal, and I just was like, hey, I know COVID's happening, but is there like, do y'all know a time where I could possibly get an appointment with an OBGYN because I have endometriosis? They wrote me back like the next day and they're like, we're actually not very busy because they're not the COVID people. So I was like, they probably were just like,
we're
sitting
waiting.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
waiting for someone to come in and give them something to do.
Yeah. So they were like, we'll have a phone appointment first and then go from there. So I did a phone appointment and it was basically just like, so you were diagnosed already, just talking to me. They had me come in. They were like, yeah, we can do this. I think it was June. They were like, they were like, let's make sure all the doctors are available, because the way mine was set up, because it was coming out of my belly button, they were like, we're going to have to remove your belly button because that's where the endo is, like they like you have endo in your, and it was like when they diagnosed it, they were shocked too, because they said it's like 1% or like less than 1% of people exhibit it this way.
Wow.
So like I have, I get the trophy because it's very rare of how mine is.
You're a rare case.
Yeah, so they were like, we have to remove that. So we have to have an OBGYN to do the surgery. We have to have general surgery to remove your belly button, and we have to have plastic surgery to reconstruct something there. So we have to make sure all these doctors are available, find a time for them.
Wow.
So they got together and they were like, how's June, whatever. Look, it's COVID. What else am I doing? Like,
right.
Okay. And so having a surgery, a major surgery during COVID is a little nerve-wracking, but every appointment I had, they were doing so much to like be safe that I was like, I'll be all right.
Yeah.
And when I said, like, I was like, I'll take any sign as this ain't what's up. So when I went in with the OBGYN, they were like, they're gonna give you an appointment at Tulane. Now I don't have free care at Tulane. So when they left to make the appointment, I was like, oh, that's it. I ain't getting it. They came back and they said, oh, we see you have free care. The Tulane people are going to come here. I was like, okay, I'm still
all
right.
Going. Yeah.
It was like things are working out. They asked who was available doctor-wise. The same lady that was my OBGYN when they diagnosed me was going to be the doctor who did the surgery. She had left. Right. She had left the doctoring. Like when she scheduled my first surgery and then my Medicaid right now, she left being a doctor for like a year. So she wasn't, the time where I had no insurance, she wasn't, like, she was handling life. And she like had come back at some point and she happened to be at that hospital that I'm at. I was seeing her at Tulane. I was not seeing her. So
but she
like,
hadn't been moseying her way to UNC.
Yeah. And they said, oh yeah, she remembered you. She remembered your case and she remembers you. I'm like, okay, nice showing off. Nice showing off, God. So everything was just like, everything was cool. They said I had an early appointment. My job, one of my jobs knew I was having surgery. The other one, certain people knew, so that they were like, we're going to make sure you still get paid and cover for you straight up. I still did the work. They fussed at me about it, but they were going to cover for me, which I appreciate, because when you also are gigging or part-time, they just want their product. They don't be like, oh yeah, and you're having surgery, we'll keep you paid. So just so y'all know that it's no sick leave in the arts, seems like. So
not at all.
So I went in early. I was for the most part, I wasn't nervous until the day of. I was like, okay, I'm kind of nervous, but everybody came in and was like, okay, I'm the guy who's gonna be taking your belly button out. I was like, okay. But they said it should last, like, I was reading everything and it was like maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. I went under at 8. I didn't wake up till 2:30 p.m. So if you do that calculation, that's not 2 hours. Basically, they said my case was so extensive. They did not realize how extensive it would be because they don't know until they go in.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of sitting there like, I've been telling y'all this for years that
right.
this is extensive. They weren't able to get all of it out because if they would have had to take one of my ovaries. And she made the decision not to because I have no kids and she didn't want that to be like a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mom was like, well, does that mean, like, does it mean she's going to have trouble? And they were like, we don't know. Some people who have endo have no trouble having kids. Some people have a lot of trouble and they don't even have a lot. It's nothing they can really, but this should help a lot with pain. So when I woke up, I had a big X on where my belly button used to be, like this, and stitches. I felt really bloated because they pump you with gas.
Yeah.
You have to basically like fart it all out.
And
yeah. So and I didn't realize till this surgery, and a lot of women told me this, women who had kids, that you need a pillow near you so that when you sneeze or laugh, it like does, you can press it against your stomach and it won't hurt. Because the first time I like sneezed, it hurt so freaking bad.
Oh, no.
You have to like brace your stomach so that it don't move too much on that, like achoo. So
oh man,
I didn't know that. A lot of women knew that though, who had like different surgeries in that area. And I'm like, this is like the kind of stuff we need to be sharing with each other, but no one. That's another thing I learned with this surgery. Women don't really talk to each other about women's stuff. And like, because when I said, I put on Facebook like the night before, like, I'm having this surgery for endometriosis. And then I had a Zoom call. Yeah. And I had a Zoom call, my family, like, surprise put together if everybody, because, COVID, we can't all see each other. And they're like, you're going to be fine. And we're praying for you and stuff. I didn't know until that Zoom call and that status that my aunt has endo. My great aunt had endo. Possibly my great grandma had endo. Like friends of mine who I talked to had endo or had the surgery. Like it's like this big secret.
But no one talks about it. Oh my gosh. This should be known.
I'm sitting here for years thinking I'm the only one of my friends who have it, because I'm the only one that's like noticing that I'm not going to this event because I'm sick and stuff like that. But come to find out, so many people had it or have it. And I'm like, my aunt, my dad's sister, I'm like, why didn't I know this? Like, and it's like, like, we just don't, nobody really talks about it. And I don't know why that is. Like, why? It's like we've been
may just
to be ashamed.
I think it has a lot to do with just the stigma of womanly things that are not to do with sex. You know what I mean? Like endometriosis is more along the lines of like a condition that women go through, or I should say vagina owners go through, that's not related to anything that the male has to worry about, or the penis owner, if that makes sense. So I think it may just be more along the lines of it's something that gets pushed to the side because, it's something that doesn't affect them in any way, shape, or form, which is why when they come to stuff like abortion or STIs, STDs, or I don't know, I'm just trying to think of other things, like, I don't know, something that has to do with like, or at least like the other person has to come into the situation. I think that's my own personal reasoning, but it could be wrong. But I really do think that may be part of the reason. And it's more.
And I think we also like have been taught somewhere that's like that periods are nasty and that you don't really talk about them, and
Yeah.
even when you're in pain, like you're supposed to keep going, and if you stop, then it's like a sign of weakness or something, or like
Or
your
it's
role to have a
misdiagnosed.
child.
It's
Yeah,
misdiagnosed as just a really bad period when it's not. It's even more than that.
I thought I was normal. Like this is just what people went through until my belly button started hurting. And I was
Yeah.
like, why is nothing else hurting? But when I push my belly button, it hurts. Like
Right.
until then, even though I had those horrible like monthly whatevers, I just was like, oh, some people have bad cramps.
See, and I feel that that worries me because there's probably so many people out there with endometriosis that don't realize it. And just for the audience, because I did put a few little statistics out there from endometriosis.org. So just so you know, endometriosis affects an estimated 1 in 10 women during their reproductive years. So if you don't know, reproductive years is usually age 15 to 49, which is interesting because I feel as though, like, when I first started getting my period, I was like 9 years old. Like, I was young.
Mm-hmm.
But that's approximately 176 million women in the world that currently deal with it. That's a lot.
Yeah. And that's the ones who know.
That's the ones who know. You right. You right. So in that regard, I feel like, and you know, I did the period series, but like I'm glad we're kind of talking about this because we, you know, the period series was also like very boom, bam, boom, like quick to the point, not really going into detail. I'm really happy that we had this conversation, that we had you kind of describe your story, because that may hopefully at some point get someone that is going through their period and realizing it's not normal to go to the doctor, find them a female or a woman
Really,
OBGYN to get that
really.
diagnosis, because I still cannot believe that doctor said that to you.
And I think find a doctor who listens to you too. Because
Yes.
even if because there are good, like, other non-female doctors, but I think that it's important. Like my friend who, his name is Dr. Tilton. If y'all want to go
Mm-hmm.
see him, Andre Tilton, he listened to me. And so he, even though it wasn't his like scope, he did all the things he could do until he was exhausted of
Yeah.
what he could do, because he
Right.
heard me and he was shocked that other people weren't listening. And if they just try to throw like pills at you, like
Yeah.
try something different. Because even now my new battle is like, now they're like, you have to be on birth control, and I know I'm not a good birth control person. Like
Mm-hmm.
I last time I was on them, because in college that's how I was like, okay, I'm not gonna miss college, let me get on birth control so that I can control my period. It was not even to control births, it was to control my period. I started getting really depressed
Yeah.
and I
Birth
couldn't leave the
control is
bed.
not some, well, it
But it's
depends on the birth
hormones.
control. Yeah.
It's manipulating your hormones. So
Yeah.
when I started feeling like that, I was like, this is outside of my character. What is happening that's different? And so I stopped the birth control just to see. And then like I was like, huh. Like it was like sudden
Mm-hmm.
change. And my doctor at that time, I told him everything, and he said, oh, your body thought it was going through menopause because you weren't getting enough of that hormone, that your
Mm.
body thought it was, like shutting that part down pretty much. That's why you were feeling these ways. And that's why when women go through menopause, they get hormone replacements and stuff.
Mm.
So after that, I've been kind of like, I feel like there's some other kind of, even if as much as I love food, if I have to change the diet, because I changed it with the gluten, I'd rather feel good than like have that piece of cake. So I've given it up for years now and I feel okay. So it doesn't hurt me as much when I see people with birthday cake. I'd be like, I'll just find a gluten-free one. But if I have to like go be pescatarian or whatever, vegetarian, I would rather do that than the pills, because I know, like, and then even with all that, I was like, I just had the surgery, let me try. And I did try for 2 months and my pain was the same.
Mm.
And I felt almost robotic in like my emotions. Like I never got really happy, but I would cry at like the most, like a puppy walks down the street and I would cry. And I'm like, this is weird. No, like this ain't even
That
This Is Us. This is a puppy. So I I got off that. And so I'm like, I've been reading a lot about medical marijuana. I've never smoked
mm.
a day in my I've never smoked anything. The most I've smoked is a vape with strawberry in it for a movie. I've never, and I was like, how do you do this? I do not know. So I'm like, I don't even want to smoke. I was like, is there a way I can? They were like, oh, you can make tea. But then in Louisiana, it's hard to even know how to go about that. And then, like I
Yeah.
said, I think I'd have to pay out of pocket
Yep.
for that even. So right now, food and that are like maybe the only two things I can do. But there's no like expert that I can talk to that will say these are the that I know of. I've seen in other places, like I follow this lady in Atlanta who like specializes in it and stuff like that. But I ain't about to drive to Atlanta every time.
Right.
Especially right now, I can't just like hop to Atlanta and back to have appointments. So it's weird. Like I wish Louisiana is so behind on a lot of women's stuff, but I ain't got to tell y'all that after that vote.
Amendment 1, the Louisiana Love Life Amendment or whatever they call it. Yeah. Talked about that last
I was
episode.
very shocked at I wasn't, but I was
I'm
shocked at
not
that.
shocked.
I
I'm not
was
shocked at
because
all.
everybody I know voted like a certain way, and so to
Yeah.
see that it still didn't go that way,
But I
I
mean,
was
they
like,
said
oh
the
wow.
wording made things confusing for people. They
The
didn't
wording,
realize it
I had to
until.
read it a couple of times to understand what was happening, to be
Yeah.
honest, because I try to go in with my ballot already kind of on my phone so that I can just boom boom boom. And when I read that one, I was like, wait,
Yeah.
what? Because
Yeah.
like what? It was
Mm-hmm.
very really like you're protecting it or you're protecting to not have, like it was they that's how they get you, the
Yeah.
wording.
Well, I have one last question for you. In regards to everything that you've experienced, do you feel like you even have like a more heightened self-awareness from having this surgery? Like, do you find that it's aided in your self-awareness journey?
Ooh, I feel like having endo aided to my self-awareness journey because that's the thing too. Endo is chronic. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm never gonna not have it. I can just keep having surgeries if it gets bad again.
Yeah.
But now I'm kind of clean slated to an extent.
Yeah.
But it having it showed me one how strong, even though it's not always the greatest kind of strength, but how strong I am to like push through it and still get stuff done. And the reason I say like not always the best kind, because it's okay to be like, no, I can't do this. I'm in pain. But Black women don't always get that memo.
Right.
So I so like I pushed through grads. Like if I really count high school with having it, I pushed through high school, undergrad, jobs, grad, and now another school with it. But if I count just being diagnosed or
Right.
like when the first symptoms, I pushed through grad school. I pushed through like a lot. Um, and sometimes I couldn't move, but I'm on a computer making sure this edit is done or something.
Yeah.
Um, so it showed me that, and it also showed me that like people care about you, even if they don't necessarily like. I expect Black women to care about me, like even though I shouldn't, like you shouldn't always expect all this stuff, but you like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, when you say
Yeah.
certain things, you know, like okay, Black women are gonna understand, or women or Black people or whatever. But like I made a point to say like these white male teachers had my back because they they couldn't relate
Yeah.
at all to me, but they just saw me in pain and they knew who I was and they called
Mm.
hospitals for me. They made sure I got into the acupuncture. They made sure like when I wasn't feeling okay, it was okay, stay at home. Uh-oh, what happened?
Sorry, I just got a text message saying that there's 190 COVID cases that were reported today. 190.
Here?
Yes, in New Orleans alone.
I wonder why.
I
Is it
wonder
because,
why too.
oh, you
I
heard
think it's
about the concert?
Halloween. I heard
You
about
heard
the
that
concert.
concert?
I did. Yeah.
And Halloween.
I think it was
I was in a
Halloween.
hotel. I was in a hotel for Halloween because our power was out. And
Mm-hmm.
we were downtown and people were out
Yep.
like
I
it
know.
wasn't nothing.
Yep.
And we were like in the hotel, like thinking we missing out. But okay, we can miss out on COVID.
Bro. Sorry, I like sidetrack and I saw it.
No,
I
I
was
get
like,
that.
woo.
That's
See?
why I'm here now. I
Yeah.
ain't playing these games. I got
Right.
tested yesterday just to be able to go on campus. Like I ain't got time for like people I know who had it. I have enough. No, I
Right.
ain't got no belly button. I can't have COVID too.
Oh wait, yeah, no, I want the audience to see your belly, your lack of belly button. If you're okay with that.
Okay. Yeah. So warning if y'all don't want to see scars. But I've been putting scar cream on it, so it's okay. First off, melanin gives you superpowers. But okay.
Yes.
So this is my new belly button.
Okay.
So it's like
Yeah.
an
It's
X.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like an
And
X.
this is where they went in. You can't even see these anymore. This scar cream works. But like
Oh,
right here and right
that's
here
where
is
they
where they
went.
go in for the endo. But
Do they like
so
have
like
to
if
take all that apart and like flip it up or something, or how do they do
no,
that?
so those two little things is like laparoscopic. So that's
Okay.
it's
Okay.
very small. So if the belly button hadn't been an issue, I would have just had those two little dots. So
Oh,
it's like they
okay.
bring in a camera and like a little vacuum thing
Mm-hmm.
and like they go from there and they go like in your vagina or something. And they
Wow. So it's a vagina
um
vacuum cleaner.
kind of yeah. So they burn all the they burn all the bad tissue and then they like suck it into this so that it's not still in there.
Yeah.
um so I felt
Cool.
yeah, so afterwards I didn't really have too much pain from like the regular endo. It was more of the belly button that I had to watch because it was like open wound
Hmm.
thing and packing it and stuff. But what I did feel, I felt like something had came out of me here, which is super high, like here. And
Oh.
I was like, I got this pain. I don't know why. And then like weeks later when I went in, they told me that they saw some tissue and it was like suspicious. So they
Mm.
biopsied it and they might, like when they see anything that don't look right, they take it out to biopsy, like maybe it's cancer, maybe it's something. And it was endometrial tissue. So it had traveled
Dang.
up to like almost under my boob. So it
Dang.
was about to get more spread if I didn't have the surgery. So
Dang.
yeah. So they like burn it and then I like watched it on YouTube beforehand. I'm that guy. So I was like, let me see what's about to happen.
Yeah.
And it's like they have a camera and they go so it's real small. But the belly button
Wow.
thing, they had to basically fold my skin and stitch it so that I could have something there. And then I had to keep it there so that it would go in a little bit.
Uh-huh.
So then I had like a fake
Wow.
belly button. So
Oh my
yeah,
gosh. That's cool
it's
though.
crazy.
It's a cool
Yeah,
scar.
I said I was gonna get like a a Care Bear tattoo
You should
and
totally
like
get
put it,
something. Yeah. You should.
just be like love or something. I don't
That's
know.
awesome. Well, thank you so much, Keah, for sharing that story. Like that is very inspirational. I'm glad that it went well. Um, I want the audience to be able to follow you on your different mediums of socials if you're cool with that.
Oh
So give them
Lord.
what you got. What you got.
Ooh, okay. So the best way to catch me is Instagram at KD because I am a mofo. And I also have a podcast that I do not keep up with as much because as soon as I started like the day before I had surgery, which is not the
It's
thing
a
y'all supposed to do.
it's no, it's okay. I mean, it happens. You just
But like it's life right
yeah,
now.
it's
You just
life.
life is coming how it is. But it's called the Mofo Truth. And because like everybody calls me Mofo, my last name is Moffett.
Yeah.
And it's everywhere podcasts can be found, surprisingly, because I went through that whole thing. But
Yeah.
it's basically just like me talking and then sometimes other people are there. And so it's not like a set thing. I'm kind of just like, the first episode is me and my brother, and we're talking about Black stuff, like,
Yeah. Whatever's on your mind, the more Black voices, the better. So yes, y'all, we have another Black podcaster in the network. So get with the mofo truth, okay? And I'm gonna be a guest too. That's what she said.
Yeah,
so
yes,
I'm gonna be a guest too. So y'all should definitely follow before I
you
get
can't
on
stop
there.
the millennials. You can't stop
No,
us.
you cannot. All
You
right,
can
y'all.
complain.
You can complain, but you cannot stop, because guess what? In the end, we are still here, and we gonna be here for a while. So you better get used to us, because we gonna get stuff done while we here. Okay.
Hallelujah.
Well, if you have any suggestions on the future things you'd like me to cover on the Self-Aware Millennial, you can email the selfawaremillennial@gmail.com, or you can follow or DM me on Instagram, y'all. I don't care. I don't care what you have to say. You can give me a compliment. You can give me a critique. I want to hear from y'all. I love to talk, and I will get back to you. I'm always on Instagram, so I'm literally always there, but I also check my email every day. So please, I don't care what you send me. You can send me a sonnet. You can send me one word. Just say hi. I don't care. Contact me. I want to talk to you. And if you like TSAM, like I said at the beginning of this episode, give me 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, or send me a review. Do whatever you do, but please do it for me. Do it for you. Do it for all of us. Do it for the whole self-aware community. Also,
do it for America.
And do it for America. Okay. I can finally sing God Bless America again. Before, it was just, silence, or my mind was silent. It was blank. It was like, I could not. Anyway, we're going to talk about that another time. If you've listened to all the available episodes and you want more self-awareness by yours truly, you can join my Patreon, where you will find bonus episodes, video recordings that didn't make the show, and a bunch of self-reflection excerpts from yours truly. If you want to just join the Patreon, and most of my Patreon members right now are just there to support, just like $5 a month. And as you heard probably from the Patreon ad that I actually now have, I created a rap for my Patreon, so it's like a cute little. I decided to change up the music and but y'all check out my Patreon, www.patreon.com/self-aware millennial, if you want to support the show, and if you want some extra, all that extra, I'm very extra, so I put all the extra stuff on the Patreon. And I have 2 episodes at the moment up there just for the sex and non-monogamy series alone, but I'm about to add 2 or 3 more, because I've got a few more guests that are coming up, and I'm really excited to talk to them, and y'all get a chance to hear more about my sexcapades and non-monogamy escapades through that outlet. All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Keah, again, for being a part of the Self-Aware Millennial this week. And I will catch y'all next week for another episode. I hope y'all have a great week. Bye. Bye-bye.